over the world, women who have lost their husbands are faced with a number of challenges. In most cases, especially in the developing countries, these women do not have anything to support themselves, making life difficult for them and their children. Some are even denied their rightful inheritance, left homeless and abused, making them and their children vulnerable to the ills of the society. According to the United Nations, there are an estimated 245 million widows worldwide, of which many live in extreme poverty. And now, during this period of the coronavirus pandemic, one wonders how life will look like for a woman experiencing widowhood and living a life as such described. This is the focus of Panorama today from the Lagos Network Center. I am Adeola Komiakere. Good afternoon. We'll be right back. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 has described the growing disregard for its guidelines and skepticism about the pandemic among Nigerians as worrisome and capable of undermining the efforts so far. Going forward, the task force says its appraisal of the situation nationwide will guide its next line of action at the end of the month. Mitai Reikme reports.
Nigeria has crossed the 20,000 mark of confirmed COVID-19 cases and is clearly in the community transmission stage, forcing the Presidential Task Force to describe as unfortunate how many Nigerians are still living in denial of the existence of the pandemic.
In parts of the southeast where we did a recent survey, 60% did not believe that COVID was an issue. In the cities where adherence to these protocols were high in the initial 2 weeks of the eased lockdown, progressively over time, citizens are letting down their guards, and this remains of grave concern.
Right now, no state is COVID-19 free. Even if you don't have it, you can spread it. And that's why prevention is very important. If you can't prevent, you detect.
The figure of infections and the fatalities we have in Nigeria today are not statistics. You can place a face, you can place a name of somebody you know, people who come from the same communities with you. So for me, conspiracy theories are abstract. The reality of the situation is that, yes, COVID-19 has hit home.
Putting the fatality rate of the pandemic in Nigeria at 2.55% so far, the PTF says the best strategy for containing the deadly virus remains testing, isolation, treatment, and robust case management.
Some of the fatalities recorded in our country may possibly have been saved if they had arrived designated treatment centers early enough.
For the Minister of State for Education, it is still not safe to reopen schools.
The least we can do at the moment is to keep our children, our most prized assets, the future of Nigeria, under lock and key first. When we are sure that it's safe to release them, gladly, we will.
We've been meeting with stakeholders of the industry to find out how best can we open this industry up.
We have 500,000 Empower volunteers. But for those who are claiming that they've not been paid, we are looking into these issues together with the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation.
Nigerians are reminded that confirmed cases of COVID-19 are not just numbers but people. Hence the need to take personal responsibility by continually observing all safety protocols and advisories. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
In the meantime, Cases of the coronavirus pandemic in Nigeria continue to rise astronomically, while the latest statistics provided by the NCDC reveals that there are more than 20,000 cases in the country. What is responsible for this despite all the necessary measures put in place? Imoli Ayotokede tells us in this report.
In recent times, the rumor mill has been at work, putting Cross River State in the eye of the storm, probably being the only state yet to record a confirmed case of COVID-19. And this development has generated suspicion from several quarters. One of the latest rumors making the rounds is the allegation of mass deaths in the state, of which the commissioner describes as untrue, maintaining that the state government will never put the lives of citizens at risk.
The data for deaths between January and now in Cross River compared to 2019 and 2018, 2020 is the lowest.
The commissioner also debunked rumors making the rounds that the member representing Obudu constituency in the Cross River State House of Assembly, Mr. Godwin Akwaji, died of COVID-19.
For our late legislator, all the available tests was done on him. 2 years ago, we lost the legislator from the same region under this almost a similar circumstance. If that happened today, I'll have 10 weeks to explain that it's not COVID-19.
Stakeholders in the COVID-19 management believe that Cross River State has always taken the lead in the management of public health issues while suing for strict adherence to the COVID-19 protocols. The Cross River State Commissioner for Health called on members of the health industry to dedicate their expertise to finding a lasting solution to the COVID-19 pandemic. In Calabar, Justina Etam, NTA News.
And that story was from Justina Etim. Now moving on. The authorities in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia says this year's Hajj pilgrimage will take place with a very limited number of pilgrims. Minister of Hajj and Umrah says only various nationals residing in the kingdom will participate in the exercise. The ministry in a statement says the decision was taken due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The ministry, however, says this is to ensure that this year's Hajj is performed in a safe manner from a public health perspective while observing all preventive measures. The exercise is to take place next month. And still COVID-19 related, Nigeria has recorded 675 new cases of COVID-19 in 21 states of the Federation, including the FCT. The breakdown shows that Lagos has 288, Oyo 76, Rivers 56, Delta 31, Ebonyi 30, Gombe 28, Ondo, Kaduna and Kwara has 20 each, Ogun 17, FCT 16, Edo 13, Abia 10, Nasarawa and Imo 9 each. And still on the list of new cases are Bayelsa, Borno and Katsina with 8 each, while Sokoto and Bauchi has 3 each and Plateau 2. The total confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the country as of 22nd June 2020 is 20,919. 7,109 patients have so far been discharged after recovery, while 525 deaths have been recorded. This is Panorama coming to you from the Lagos Network Center. We'll pause here for a break. We'll be back shortly.
Nigerians, Coronavirus is dangerous. It can kill. When you see this sign, high fever, cough, shortness of breath, drowsiness, pneumonia, don't panic, don't hide, don't embark in self-medication. Promptly visit the nearest medical facility. Report all cases to the nearest hospital. Prevention is key. Avoid contact with infected persons. Avoid crowded areas as much as possible. Wash your hands regularly. Use hand sanitizers. Your life is precious. Stay alive. Live long. Live right. This message is sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture and the Nigerian Film Corporation. Nigerian Film Corporation, powering possible.
Thank you for staying with us. Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Republic of Ghana, says unidentified individuals had allegedly breached the premises of the Nigeria High Commission in Accra and demolished its property under construction. The ministry views with concern this development, which is a breach of the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations of 1961. A statement by the ministry says investigations are ongoing to unravel the facts of the matter and bring the perpetrators to book. A federal high court sitting in Port Harcourt has granted an interim order restraining Governor Godwin Obaseki from participating in the Edo State PDP governorship primaries, pending the determination of the suit brought before it by one of the governorship aspirants, Omoegie Ogbeide Ihama. Justice E.A. Obile also directed all the parties in the matter to maintain status quo with accelerated hearing billed for Wednesday, June 24, 2020. The interim order neither stopped the PDP primary nor barred other candidates from participating in the said primaries. All contentious issues threatening to undermine unity and cohesion within the governing All Progressives Congress will soon be resolved. President Muhammadu Buhari, who gave the assurance while granting audience to the Progressives Governors Forum, expressed optimism that the party will emerge stronger. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the report.
The meeting between President Muhammadu Buhari and the Progressives Governors Forum, represented by its chairman and governor of Kebbi State, Atiku Bagudu, as well as his counterparts from Plateau and Jigawa states, was in response to the crisis rocking the APC. Facing governorship elections in 2 states before the end of the year, the governing party had within the last 1 week lost the governor of Edo State and the deputy governor of Ondo State to the opposition party and are expected to participate in the polls. The national chairman of the party, Adams Oshomole, had also been suspended following a judicial decision. The meeting held behind closed doors discussed the best way forward in the interest of the governing party and indeed the administration.
The reason for our visit is to discuss with him as our party leader, as the leader that millions of Nigerians trust, party issues, and the position of the progressive governors to support all steps to unify and bring about peaceful resolution in our party, the All Progressive Congress. And Mr. President listened attentively and discussed with us as a father, as a party leader. And it gave us all the assurance we needed to know that resolution of contentious issues will soon be arrived at.
Governor Atiku Bagudu appreciated the genuine concerns being expressed by the APC family members and indeed Nigerians over the crisis, assuring them that President Muhammadu Buhari is equally worried and committed to finding lasting solutions.
At all times, Mr. President have shown that he's a Democrat. He's not running the party. Yes, he's the party leader. He allowed party organs to do and decide what should be done. He's very, very hesitant to use his standing, even as party leader, talk less of his authority as Mr. President and of the country to direct things. But at all times, he has been alive to the issues, and with the level of detail he have about all what is happening and the number of people he has listened to and heard, I believe whatever needs to be done, including the possibility of calling any organ of the party that is necessary to the resolution of lingering issues, will be done immediately.
President Buhari had last Sunday discussed similar issues with the Senate President Ahmed Lawan. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Away from political stories now to security. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Toko Buratai, has directed field commanders to ensure rapid implementation of the recent presidential order to stem rising security threats in some parts of the country. Lieutenant General Buratai's message was made public by the Army Acting Director, Army Public Relations, Colonel Sagi Musa.
These are Army principal officers, general officers commanding and field commanders at the Army headquarters in an emergency strategic meeting with the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Toko Buratai. Issues dissected focus on counter-insurgency and other internal security operations in parts of the country, with a view to deploy radical approach to end this threat.
General Buratai directed all commanders ensure that the charge given by Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief must be fully implemented so as to speedily crush Boko Haram terrorism and the myriad of security threats facing the nation.
The director notes that the fighting formation has commenced major reorganization of operations for optimal performance.
There is no time for complacency, no time for excuses, and there will be no tolerance for shortcomings or failures. The situation must be reversed immediately.
Similarly, the 2020 Nigerian Army Day celebration Nassau, scheduled to hold in Jos Plateau State, has been moved to Katsina State. Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Still watching the Panorama on NTA from the Lagos Network Center. Another break beckons. We'll be back shortly.
Coronavirus is dangerous. It can kill. When you see this sign, high fever, cough, shortness of breath, drowsiness, pneumonia, don't panic, don't hide. Don't embark in self-medication. Promptly visit the nearest medical facility. Report all cases to the nearest hospital. Prevention is key. Avoid contact with infected persons. Avoid crowded areas as much as possible. Wash your hands regularly. Use hand sanitizers. Your life is precious. Stay alive. Live long. Live right. This message is sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture and the Nigerian Film Corporation. Nigerian Film Corporation, powering possible.
To know you're still with us. Resident doctors in Lagos are back to work after downing tools for a week following an industrial action over their welfare and inadequate protective equipment for operations. Amaka Owo, who visited the Lagos State Teaching Hospital, has the situation report.
Resident doctors in Lagos University Teaching Hospital, Luth, a federal government facility in the state, joined their colleagues who embarked on a one-week-long strike, which was called by the national body of the association. However, following the suspension of the strike, medical activities have been restored as patients turned up for treatment. The doctors, who constitute the largest percentage in the hospital's workforce, are back to the wards and theatres to join the consultants who held forth during the strike.
If you go to emergency, adult emergency, children emergency, and other clinics, people are working. So we're back to work. We are always ready to work.
We hope that from now on, the relationship will be that of understanding, not waiting till when we issue ultimatum or threatening to go on strike before they do the needful.
Some members of the public who said the strike was ill-timed due to the coronavirus pandemic praised the quick intervention of government.
A good outcome. We appreciate it.
So far, it's nurses that has been doing the work. With the cut off strike so far, I think it's going to be of immense relief on the nurses.
The strike by the doctors was called off to give government time to fulfill outstanding demands. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
And now to our earlier reports. Cases of the coronavirus pandemic in Nigeria continue to rise astronomically, while the latest statistics provided by the NCDC reveals that there are more than 20,000 cases in the country. What is responsible for this despite all the necessary measures put in place? Imole Ayotokede tells us in this report.
Since the lockdown was relaxed by the federal government in the 3 states where COVID-19 was more prevalent, including Lagos State, business activities have gradually picked up. However, the use of face masks and obedience to social distancing, which are the major safety preventive rules to curb further spread of the disease, are slowly fading off, as a large percentage of Lagosians now go about their businesses, throwing caution to the wind. Ike Uwana and Xavier Clement both sell wares under the popular Obalende Bridge. Like most people, they have grown complacent and abandoned their hygiene measures to protect themselves. These are their reasons.
The virus is not in Nigeria.
Why do you think so?
I think so because I have been with different types of people in this country. I have never seen anyone say, you see or hear.
That face mask, it depends my 2 ears. You pay for this place.
Other respondents view the usage from the angle of discomfort.
We are tired of wearing the face mask. In fact, everyday face mask, in fact, it doesn't even enable one to breathe very well. So we are tired of the face mask. Please let us be going normal the way we have been going before.
For this commercial bus driver, Joseph Eze, who plies CMS to Obalende and Ikeja, the transport regulation has not been easy to comply with.
From reality, that is a carry 4-4. We obey the law, carry 2-2. Upon that, we dey carry 2-2. I make sure about face mask. Conductor use face mask. Passenger, before I move my motor, I make sure say passenger use face mask. Upon that, last mile is the trouble us. Passports, if you dey for bus, your passports will come block us.
It is not a mere fact that Lagos State is the epicenter of the coronavirus pandemic in Nigeria. This could be connected with little or no compliance with the safety measures. However, experts believe that the power to adequately tackle further spread of the virus lies in the hands of every individual. In Lagos, Imole Ayotokede, NTA News.
The United Nations set aside a day annually to bring to the consciousness of all to the plight of widows and the way forward. Annie Daniels in this report takes a look at the situation in Nigeria and how the wrongs can be made right.
After his death, I have to come back to Lagos. But to my surprise, after 1 year, we need to go back to the village and do, they call it, yes, to remove your black cloth, yeah, memorial service. To my surprise, I wanted to enter my house and they said, the key is not mine, it's with them. I said, what does that mean? He said, I'm the head of the home, the key is with my husband's senior brother. Then by the time I got back to Lagos, I said, what of my keys? He said the key belongs to him.
That was a widow recounting her experience after losing her husband at a very young age. Such stories abound, especially in a situation where the widow is not empowered and do not approach relevant authorities to seek redress.
It depends on the type of marriage. But I'm also aware that we have Violence Against Persons Act in Nigeria. And it is also one of the laws that a widow can avail himself of the provisions that does not discriminate against women.
In the face of COVID-19, widows are calling for more assistance from relevant authorities. This is because, unlike previous years, when they were able to get assistance from organizations and religious bodies, which no longer is possible, as the social and physical distancing rules have put a hold on that. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News. And next, a sports update.